Hello, everybody, and welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Flynn. I'm the host today. Very happy to be here with you. If you're watching live, we do have live chat. We're live on Behance and we are live on YouTube. So if you want to say hi or you have questions as we're going through everything today, please don't hesitate to throw them in chat. We have some very exciting stuff, like quite a few recent updates lately that we're going to be doing some live streams on. And this is probably one of my favorite. We've been using Firefly boards a lot and Firefly a lot over the last couple of years. And in particular, we've been doing some live streams with our guest, Joy. And these recent updates that have come out, I think it was just last week, like perfect for some of the stuff that she's been trying to replicate using Firefly boards. And now we can finally use Firefly to train on our own artwork and iterate on that. So it's very exciting. But without further ado, artist from Melbourne, Australia, Joy Chiang. Hi, Joy. Thanks and welcome back to Adobe Live.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to share what we have planned today.
This is perfect. So as I said, and we were saying just before we went live, this is made for you. I feel like maybe some people at Adobe have been watching the streams and just being like, okay, this whole journey is just a feature just for Joy. If you go back into some of our previous streams, you'll see that Joy's been trying to use the system to base things on her artwork and then kind of expand from there. And now there's there's a new way to do it, which is super cool. Mm-hmm. But it's very exciting. But it's enough of me talking about you and your artwork. Can you tell people who might not be familiar with you and who you are and what you do and how you kind of maybe your journey here, which I think is really important to today as well. That would be really great because it's been a while since we've had you on, actually.
Yeah. Well, I started off painting physical artworks when I was on maternity leave with my first baby. And I really fell in love with just being able to create and using tactile materials. When I had my second baby, I didn't have that much time to do the physical painting because I've got lots of pets as well with the baby walking around. So I kind of decided to learn a digital medium. So I started to learn 3D animation, motion graphics, and I thought it was really cool. But at that time, that's also when AI started kicking off. So I experimented a lot with AI. And at that time, the pictures were very pixelated, but I think from just using it for the first time, you're just like, wow, this is so cool. So it was great for idea generation, but also testing all the different models to see the different results you get and remixing them. Over the last couple of years, I also dabbled in ceramics. So I think that's kind of my new medium that I'm obsessed with. So I think it's really cool remixing everything together. And I think utilizing AI to kind of blend some of my own artworks has always been part of my workflow. And I think, like you said, using some of the models' capabilities, I've always kind of wanted a custom model using my own stuff. So I've always kind of tried to hack the system by inserting things that were mine and remixing it with my different medium of work to see what I get, to get some new ideas, but also just to experiment with different shapes, different textures, and different color schemes I might have otherwise not have used or experimented with, just to get a rough idea. I think even just experimenting with glazing color options before I choose the one for my ceramics was something I played with, and the different forms and different extensions. So it was, so this is the perfect timing to test the custom model.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's super exciting, and like I said, I feel like it was kind of made for you. Okay. Well, let's jump in. I know we've got so much to cover. We are live today and tomorrow, and if you missed the start, we have live chat. So if you've got questions, we'll try to answer, obviously about what we're doing on the stream or anything to do with kind of the Firefly or how everything works and all that sort of stuff. Throw it in and I'll see if I can dig up my internal or external FAQs to try to answer those questions for you. Let's switch over to your screen, Joy. I mean, this is your Instagram as well, if anyone wants to go and check out and have a follow and look at some of your other artwork.
So
if you wanted to talk about some of this.
Different mediums. So this is AI. I've got the 3D animations that's done motion graphics, so not AI. And then you've got the physical stuff where I painted a sculpture. And then some of my one-line illustrations. So just a whole heap of different things that I've experimented with. So I think this time using, maybe we'll go back to basics. So when I was looking at the custom model, I kind of wanted to test. I think with any new AI models coming out or different versions of different AI models, I always like to test what the generic product is before I put in my own, just to see the changes, but also that gives you a slightly more control of the result because you're testing what you'd get originally, and then once you added in your ingredients, how it changes, and then using the same ingredients, trying the different models to see what you get as a baseline to start with. I think that's where I usually like to begin. So if we go to Firefly, I'll show you where you can actually go to customizing your own model, which is here. And then you can see it's constantly getting updates of the new Nano Banana 2, Gemini, and then some other different programs depending on what type of work you're doing. So in custom models,
It's kind of like with all this stuff, it's nothing's set in stone. Like it's like a constantly evolving kind of document, right? Like
yeah, I feel like this will change probably very soon, even if before it goes live. So at the moment, it's a beta version. So I'm just testing around, and I'm probably sure there'll be more capabilities coming out. So at the moment, you can select 3 different methods. One is photography style, one is illustration style, one's characters, which I think will be really good if you do character design for consistency. Maybe you can, put in your own character, get different posing ideas or different color schemes for the image, or even different outfits for your character potentially. I don't do much of that, so I stayed away from character models, and my style is a bit more abstract in terms of my painting and my 3D stuff, so I didn't really choose illustration style because I feel like that wasn't the best fit. But I think illustration style might be one I experiment with my physical artwork, just to see if it's very different to the photography style model. So at the moment, photography style is the one that I picked for all the models I've trained so far, and I've got 5.
you've made 5 different.
I've made 5 already. I think because it takes a little while, so I thought I'd preload all of them so we don't waste time watching the timer kind of clock in. I think talking through, I guess, so this one is where I've put in a lot of images from my ceramics, just recent works I've just popped in, just to see what I get. And I think the issue with this is that it's all the behind the scenes stuff that I kind of don't want results looking too similar. I kind of want to take the stuff out. So technically I could have taken them out, edited them, made them cleaner, and then popped them in to get a bit more consistent feel. But in terms of what it has to work with, it's limited to about 30 images. So when you generate stuff in Firefly, it's going to kind of automatically give you a prompt based on all the information it's already given. And then when you generate something, it's actually just going to look like something I'm making in the studio, maybe behind the scenes. It's not something I would use or share. So I kind of went back to basics. I'll show you what I mean when I export this one. And let me open up another. While it's loading. So it's kind of taken my existing stuff and kind of remixed it, which is really cool. But it's kind of giving me the behind the scenes stuff that's not really realistic. I can just take a picture of me in the studio very quickly. I don't need AI to replicate my handmade stuff. So in terms of use cases, this is probably not the best selection of images. So this is where I started. So then if you were to create your own models, I think when you're picking pictures, pick stuff that you want more of. So if you like a certain style, so what I change for this one, you'll be able to see that this model has all the styling pictures that I like. So I used AI to generate photography kind of product styling pictures that I want my ceramics to sit in situ, because I don't have the photo studio or the lighting, the right colors, and the palettes for me to take photos at home with all my dogs and animals and kids' toys everywhere. So this is how I'm using this custom model to set up my own, like, technically photography studio. And then once I have these images, I train this in Firefly to then help me get results that I like. And kind of going back a step, to get this type of images, I used Firefly boards. And using what I got from the first model. So in this model, once you submit all your images in the custom model, it automatically, when it analyzes all the photos, it'll actually show you what prompt and caption it's given you. So for example, this one says hand build crackle vase, which is quite generic. You can be really detailed, give a lot more information, so then it can pick up a lot more tags for, see these ones? It's got.
Oh, okay. So you can, so what you upload, whether like if this could be an illustration or what you have here or something, it's building out tags and it's building out a description, but then you can go in and edit it as well. So you can maybe remove things that you don't want, right?
So you can manually go in, have a look, and each caption is editable. So you can retype this and it's technically a lamp, so I can write ceramic lamp with blue floral design next to another one. I didn't spend very much time on these. Like, for example, the image resolution is quite low because it's just a screenshot on my phone. Like all of these things, you can increase the model score. So the better images it has, the higher the model score. And I feel like if the model score is too low, you actually can't train it. So I actually emailed you panicking, going, I can't train my model. I've submitted all my images. It's because I don't think I addressed some of the issues that it's highlighted. For example, to improve the model score, it says several images are exact or near duplicates, and then you can reduce the dataset's diversity and training efficiency. So it'll remind you to remove any duplicates. It'll also highlight certain pictures where it says, it's not the right fit for the theme because its variation is too great for a consistent outcome type of thing. And it will tell you if you're doing a good job in selecting your images, which I think is quite helpful. Then when you reanalyze, it'll potentially increase or decrease the model score. From the information I read on Adobe, I think anything above 85 is a really good score.
Right.
Before you click.
That's cool. That's useful.
Yeah. And then once you get to a good score, then I think the train model pops up and then it'll kind of queue it and then it'll take a little while to train it. Once it's all done, it'll say train. So once it's trained, I don't think you can come in and change the images. So that's what I found. Because initially I thought I could train it and just chuck in whatever images, train it. But because it uses credit, I think I would suggest having all the good photos that you're ready and happy to train in, put it in, and then have maybe 10 additional photos in case some of them are duplicates. Like for example, this is a duplicate that you would have picked up, but I just kind of let it train and see how I went. So it's a tip.
And can you test it before you kind of generate, or do you kind of have to generate?
You much have to generate and then test. So
you have to close your eyes and just hope, I hope it's good. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So this one, for example, is we can check the score. So this one's got high quality training data because they're original pictures of my artworks. And it was really crazy. I think the first time I used this, when I generated in Firefly. So see all this, the prompt, it's taking out all the keywords and tags from my group of photos and kind of combining them into its own prompt. So you can actually change this to be something more specific. And then when you generate, it'll actually give you a new artwork, for example. And when I tried this model, as much as the painting looks like some like similar theme to my physical artworks, like I'm not going to reuse this. I think the way I'd use this model would probably using similar styles and to make certain backgrounds for some of my other assets or like digital assets where I don't want to create an original artwork just to make a background on the internet. But as you can see, it's like really crazy accurate. Like this is the same composition I have in another artwork, but it's changed the color scheme to something else. It's even got the same textures that I've used. So like technically this could come out of my studio on the, which is really crazy because of the stuff it's trained on. But like, again, like I'd probably use this as a background potentially, but I wouldn't say this is an original. And I think the colors I probably wouldn't select because they don't really harmonize as well. But as you can see, it kind of spits out the stuff you put it in. So like I said, if you put more diversity in it, then you get a bit more range, but then you also have the right ingredients in there for you to prompt exactly what you need. So if I say, if we try a background maybe. Of colors with gray, and pastel hues. I don't know. I just see.
Reminds me of the early days where we had to type everything.
Yeah, so like when you see the pre-prompted prompt in the thing, it's super detailed, super like specific because of everything else that we've inputted in there. So you can almost strip it back and then use the model and then see what you get if you don't put anything really detailed, and then just see what you get. Because then once you see how different it is, even though it's the same model,
Yeah.
given you like more texture. So this is a background that potentially I could use for, I don't know, my Zoom call or something. Like these, the model is in there, so it's still picking up all the color schemes that I've submitted, and then some of the strokes might look similar in the placement, and the composition looks similar to some of the stuff, but it's a brand new thing. So it's really interesting how you can build from it. I reckon if you were a character illustrator, it'll be really fun to put in your characters and see different positions, or to give you ideas of different costumes that you can test, which I think will be really fun to try. So going back to this, I then kind of went back to using this board. So I got this from my trained model that I didn't like because it was based on all of my hand-built stuff, just background photos of me in the studio. And then these were some of the like the key tags that came out, but then I added pictures of like a ceramic studio, like kind of more the product photography result I wanted, and kind of changed this prompt. But using the same prompt, I put it in Nano Banana Pro, Nano Banana 2, just to see the different styles. So for example, this lighting looks a lot more crisp, whereas this one, they're all like a little bit different, even though it's exact same prompt. I'm sure if I kind of...
Same time of day.
Yeah, I'm sure if I generated a couple more from the same version, you'd also get a bit more variety in lighting and all the different results. But this way, at least I can see, like, I kind of prefer the softness of this over the, the harsh lighting here. I like the shadow here, but this tone is probably a bit cooler. So I think this just gives me a better idea and better sense of what it will do. And the Firefly image 4 and 3, I actually didn't mind because it gave me a bit more variety in terms of the textures and things. Like this one, I didn't ask for bird's eye view, but it gave me that, which I think was really cool. So I kind of like the diversity. So using my own custom model and using the new prompt, I got this, which kind of threw in some of the shapes I had, was slightly altered, which is not what I want, but I think I was like, oh, this is interesting just to see the differences it would give you. I think it's pretty cool. And then
so just on that one, what aspects of the part that are from the model and what are not, just to be
what do you
clear?
mean aspects?
Like you said it threw in some of the things that you had. Do you mean from the description or the model?
So in the model input, I had a lot of bowls because I was making matcha bowls a lot last year. So it gave me a lot of bowls, and then I also had a lot of organic wavy pieces. I think they're like, here's a wavy piece from your model.
Right. Okay.
But then it also incorporated the background criteria that I put in for like a studio type of shoot with the soft lighting and everything. So this was just an interesting comparison. So I think straight away, just testing the models, you can kind of see the variety. And then doing something similar, I tried something with vase because I have another vase, like a taller vase. I just wanted to see the different compositions it would give me with a plate and a vase to see the differences. And then also just to see some variety. Like this one I thought was really cool. Like it placed the plate against the wall, which is something that I didn't ask for, but that's the type of variety I quite like, and the unexpectedness of it, because generally you're going to get a plate and a vase that, I guess because it's trained on language and large language model, it's linked with very literal meanings of vase. So you're never going to get like a super crazy shape unless you specify what shape that is to give you that type of variety. But the placement of this plate I thought was really interesting.
It's super interesting because like you're sort of talking about you've got the collection of work, like I'm just relating back to the behind the scenes stuff. It was giving you something that totally looked a different angle, a different version of your behind the scenes stuff. And you're just sort of like, I don't really need that. Like, I don't want that. But you might be in a situation where someone does want that. Like, you might be like, I only got a couple of photos of this particular behind the scenes of a product shoot. I'd actually really like a lot more because I'd like to extend this social media campaign or something. So it might actually be useful to somebody else.
That's definitely true. Like kind of reversing because you already have the finished product potentially.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting kind of how we're discovering these like different use cases, like what's valuable to a creative and what's like not, and what's valuable to some and not others.
But the cool thing is because you've got all these other tools inbuilt now, you can almost reverse engineer all of these additional things. So for example, like replacing one aspect of the image to another. So my idea now is, now that I've got a photography style that I like, I can train this model for this style. And then once I've got that style in a model, I can generate different positions, different things together in a composition that I like. And then once that's done, I can then substitute my physical stuff into the scene using Nano Banana 2, which I think at the moment is probably the best model to do that type of replacement work.
Yeah.
So talking about that, see, this one's like vase on a plate, and then this vase as a whole. So I think it's just interesting to see the different color tones that it'll pick naturally. And then, yeah.
Are these, when you've done these, because you've labeled, just in case anyone's not picking up, that they're different models, like a lot of the time. So like there was different versions of Firefly, or like much older versions of Firefly, you know, Nano Banana, all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah. Are these the first one and only generations, or did you do a couple and you're like, oh, this is quite indicative of how this is?
No, I just did the first one.
Oh, you just did the first one. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, cool.
I think if I really didn't like it, I'd do a couple more, but they all seem pretty on point in terms of what I was looking for. And then this one, like I think this, when I used the custom model again using the vase prompt, it was really interesting that, you know, it went back to very like hand-built textures, which wasn't something that, you know, I had to prompt separately, but it just took that existing knowledge from all the images I submitted to give me something a bit more hand-built, a bit more organic looking, which I think is really cool. And then I have I always like to share the AI fails, because a lot of the time you're not going to get it the first time you try making something. So for example, I used this image, just kind of picked it to replace or to mash up. And then I put one of my bowl plate things in, and then it just gave me different variations of it in that setting.
That's so funny. It gave you like a family.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's not what I was looking for. And then I realized it's probably because of, you know, the number of items on there. So then I changed it to one thing. So then it was easier to replace the one item. So I realized, you know, in my model, I probably need to have a bit more of things if I just want one item to be shown as the main piece to change. Otherwise, it's just going to kind of give you a random mix. For example, like this one, it replaced it, but it gave me an extra plate. I was like, oh, it looks like one of my plates in the other one. But this was quite cool. And I think if you had something like pretty close to a product image that you liked, even though the blue is like a lot more darker hue than more bluey toned, you can kind of make those edits quite easily, or you just take another photo of your own one. But even, you know, with the new 3D rotational tool in Photoshop, you could probably rotate that to the right angle so it's not looking odd, and then kind of blend that around, which I think is a really quick workflow. But using that same image, this is just like something that was half done. You can kind of quickly see how easily it's just picking up this and then popping it in.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and then
I think what's cool, sorry, just very quickly about that part as well, like that's just something you can take on your phone. Like I know things are moving so quickly, but you can have something physical, just snap it on your phone, remove background, or bring it into any app basically. Click remove background. There's no pen tool or deep etching or saving as a TIFF or any of this stuff that,
I remember
trust
the
me, used to
magnetic
spend all day
lasso.
doing.
Yeah, that I used to like trace around the funny edges.
Did you say magnet lasso? Yeah, as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Like, there's just so many things that there's like a generation of creatives that just not going to have to bother with that.
I know. And
And
it's
then
so
put it into
accurate
this
now.
3D space, and it kind of matches. You've got
Right.
Harmonize in Photoshop as well.
Yeah. So
It's
cool.
kind of incredible how quickly all these things have become fairly trivial to do.
Hmm. Yes, okay. These are some of the pictures I took the other day. I just found my ceramics lying around and then I
Oh,
was
the
in
egg one's cool.
it's like my little spoon rest. So I just had these on a chair outside in like the garden because the lighting was good, but it's a bit yellow because of my pergola. But I thought quickly, you can just quickly take a picture of it from your phone and then just to see the different things you get. I took the light bulb out of this lamp, but I just thought if I had a picture of one item, I wanted to see how well it could kind of replace it. So for example, the egg one, it kind of did that pretty well and kept it flat depending on the angle. So, and then I had, because I saw that Firefly 3 model had the bird's eye view shot. So I took a bird's eye view one just to compare, and it even like changed some of the lighting and the reflections based on like the linen. I think it's so cool. Like it's
really
pretty
cool.
accurate to the original, but it's kind of placed it in a setting that I would like, for example. So maybe for a real one, I'd put a ladle there or a spoon to show that it's a spoon rest and not just a flat egg.
Yeah.
And then this is another one where I've got like a porcelain bowl. I just took a photo on my phone on a chair in my backyard. And then very quickly you can kind of see how you can potentially share that in a portfolio, which is what I did a couple of months ago. I was applying for something and I needed a portfolio for ceramics, which I've never done before. So I can kind of show you these images that I created, but this was before you could train your own model. So I actually found the generations that I did from 5 months ago. So 5 months ago, I was playing with this exact workflow, trying to get things to match. So at the start, I was trying to write all the right prompts to get a setting that I liked with like organic bits, with soft lighting, to get like a nice setup, which took quite a few iterations because there was just a lot of stuff. And then I tried putting in, actually, where was the, hold on, a bit laggy. At the start, it had like one vase with some plants and it just looked really fake. Can't find that. I might have deleted it because it was so ugly. Oh no. Let's reload. But yeah, to get this portfolio, it took a lot of playing around, a lot of mucking around before I could then put my vase and my bowl plate thing in situ just to get the look that I wanted. And then I ended up using Photoshop to join them more seamlessly because it didn't get the scale right. Like I'd have a tiny vase next to my giant plate, whereas the vase is actually huge. So then I was
Right.
like the tweaking using AI is probably not efficient enough, whereas I could just do it in Photoshop and kind of bring them and harmonize them a lot more better. So this is actually my light with the light on. So I can kind of put a group of things together, but this took a lot of tweaking around. Whereas now, if I had a couple of different things in my model, I can probably join them together a lot faster because it already knows the type of prompts I'd like to use. And then you can select maybe specific bits of it to kind of bring them together, for example. So,
Yeah, that's cool. That's super interesting. I mean, doing something like building a ceramic portfolio is super interesting. Like, just I don't know. Like, I feel like that's like an area where a lot of people would have just a static photo like this.
yeah,
Whereas
like
because of the
you
digital
just had-
skills, you could like really kind of make it look like a lookbook of
yeah,
your
I know.
ceramics.
Like if I just had this plate in a background like this, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't look as professional, it's not as clean, but very quickly you can kind of just place it in situ because it still looks exactly like what it was in my original pictures, but at least the setting's a lot more nicer. You can kind of share what your original vision was for a ceramic piece, and that's like the highlight of it. So everything else is kind of the background that kind of really brings your stuff um, forward. So yeah, for example, like this porcelain piece I really like. This looks really cool because I kind of wanted to look a bit more like a shell. And then this
Mm,
is probably whereas for this one, for example, I had a little plate. It kind of, because of the angle I took the photo, it didn't really understand I wanted it flat. So that would need a little tweaking, or I can change the background, or I can take a better picture of my plate so that it sits flat a
mm.
bit more without it looking like it's floating. And then this one, so I just wanted to see if it'll add the light bulb for me, because from the original lamp that I had, this is the light bulb I had on it, and I
Right.
took it off because I was thinking of changing it to like maybe what's it called? Like the candle shaped one.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
there's like
The
different light
candle
bulbs.
shaped light bulb.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to just to see what it might look like. So I thought I'd try it. So I put this one into the setting. The color grading isn't right, but then I was like, turn the light on, and using the different shapes. Oh no, I'm talking. My mouse is being a bit funny today. And then it even, covered the surrounding area with the glow, which I think was really cool. And then it took my candle shape thing very literal, so it gave me a candle instead, which I was like, oh, it could be a candle holder. And then I think this one I did a mashup. So he actually took out this and gave me that other AI generated pottery
Right.
instead, which I thought was quite funny. This one I wanted to try the mashup, and then it didn't know what to do with the light bulb that I added. I think it was just like I just downloaded a light bulb because I've seen these like chrome capped ones. I was like, I wonder
Oh
what
yeah.
that looks like in it. I wanted it on top, but it kind of put it inside the lamp, which I thought was kind of funny. Ah, so yeah. So I actually Googled the different shapes, but
I didn't
then
realize there was so many different shaped light
I know.
bulbs.
But as you can see, it will take that very literal word candle bulb
Mm,
and give me a candle. So I think just be careful when you're using certain words, because it's going to go with the generic one that's most likely a candle, not a candle bulb.
mm.
And then this one, I was like, well, what happened to the rest of the light bulb? But this one, I changed the name to, I think I picked a different shape from another Google image maybe, and then that was a bit better. Even though
Right.
the base connection isn't right, at least it gives me an idea if it'll look nice. So I think I'll
Mm.
still keep to the original. I don't think that looks very nice. Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
the
That's
workflow.
really interesting. Like when it kind of gets broken down into, it really does get broken down into language, doesn't it? Like it really
Mm,
comes down to English, like with the tags and the description. Like even when you have all these images, it's taking all those images and then writing this like language. Like it really is language.
hmm.
So it's funny when something like it's called a candle light bulb because it resembles a candle, but when you're
Yeah,
talking to the machine, it doesn't quite get that.
yeah.
It's hilarious.
So for yeah, so I think I've been playing around with trying to get like images with just one product to save the confusion of AI trying to swap out the right things. And then I'm just using the generic product swap function where I can select like this image to load into the preset product swap, this one. And then I don't know why it's not picking up the scene. Where I select that and then the product, depending on which one I want to change. And then if you click load, it'll actually show you what the prompt is in all of it. I change it maybe to a different angle. I think like the original photo, if it's more flat on, it'll give me a better result. And then you can load it. So I think very quickly you can do a very seamless looking portfolio with, similar lighting that you might have taken the actual images across different times of the day, different times of the year as you're building your collection of items to kind of set it in a consistent style and theme, which I think is really useful.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Like I think these images for it to look seamless and kind of together in the right scale took so long. As quickly as it took, like in comparison to now with the model that you've custom trained, I probably really like this lighter scheme. So in my model, I can make a lighter, brighter version, and then that way I'll get consistent results, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And then I think what else you can do, like if with the digital portfolio these days, you can have like the branches maybe animating to kind of bring it to life so that there's a bit more movement. It can be very like subtle, like a slow motion type of thing. Or if you had, like, for example, my matcha or teapot, you can have like the steam coming out. I think just brings a bit life to your portfolio these days. And I think it'll make it stand out a bit if people are trying to, be a bit more creative with their portfolios or even their, online websites. I think that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I was playing around in Firefly boards with just some of the animation stuff with some illustration things. It was pretty incredible what it could do. It definitely wasn't perfect. It wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, but just some character design stuff I was exploring and actually animated the characters in a looping animation. And they added audio and were speaking about the title.
Cool. Yeah.
It wasn't my artwork, so I can't show it, but it was just something I ripped from the internet just as a bit of an experiment.
Yeah.
Just to see if I created something, could it animate? And I'm sure it could with some iteration. Like I was pretty blown away.
Yeah. This turned out really nice. Like some of these that's matching the ambience of the surrounds, where some of it just like the one before with the blue plate, it kind of just like put whatever was there into the scene, whereas this one looked a bit more harmonious. So I think just play around with it and then you can get a really cool result. Like this still kept all the textures from the studio and everything. That's very cool.
That's really cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what were before we finish up? What were the 5 different styles that you did? Because I remember at the start you said you did 5. I think we saw 2. So I'm just curious, and I know we're coming back tomorrow, so I don't have to give everything away. But I'm just very curious as what you experimented with.
I started with handmade pottery. So this one was all of my pottery images, the behind the scenes. And then when I got the results, it was like, oh, I don't really like this one. Then I did this one to kind of give me the scene setting stuff that potentially I could use for portfolio or like product imagery if I were to set up my ceramic shop, for example. And then I did this one next, so the abstract physical painting stuff that I've popped in. That's where you saw us test these, where like this one honestly looks like another one of my paintings just with the different colors. So it's actually quite crazy to see it pop up exactly like it. And then this one is, if I were to use that type of texture for it. And then the next one I did is surreal landscapes. I really like I think I've shared this in previous streams where I really like that painterly look. And I've used this in my Adobe Max presentation of like how to animate these lo-fi way using like using Adobe Express and everything. So these are type of the imageries that I've kept that I really liked. So I just wanted to see what type of models, what type of image it would generate, but also it almost kind of gives you the reverse prompt to see the words that it actually picked up. So this way I can also create other images using the words that it thinks it's going to use, but then also generate something in a similar color scheme that I like. So again, creating other assets. And then another model I did was 3D flowers. So I have quite a few 3D florals that I've made, like the models, and then using the models I created other AI artwork and I just kind of kept them together to see if it'll generate other shapes and different kind of
cool
ones. Whereas this one I feel like it depends what you want the model to do. I feel like going into this I wasn't really clear what type of outputs I was looking for. So I kind of just chucked everything in, and then the results were a bit meh because I wasn't really specific on what I wanted. Like if I really wanted very texture heavy, very abstract arrangements of flowers, then I'll probably keep those 30 images quite tight in what I wanted. But
Yep.
then it might also trigger, these are too similar or they're duplicates, and try and get the right mix to get a good model score. So
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
it's given me that type of results using the model, which I think looks really cool.
I haven't seen, just one more quick thing, just
Mhm.
while we're kind of doing an overview of everything. I haven't seen how many models you can do. I didn't even think of that. But you have 5. Did you see anywhere where there's a limit?
I didn't see a limit.
No.
They don't cap it.
Okay, let's break it tomorrow. Let's make 400.
I'll
I'm
make them
curious.
all
That would be
tomorrow.
interesting as well, because I could see in the future being able to have perhaps your models talk to each other as well. Like you could kind of be like, these are objects, these are backgrounds, these are styles, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Mash them together for this campaign or for this
yeah. No, I
particular
think
project.
it'll be really helpful because at the moment when you go to generate in Firefly, for example, the model is very limited in what else you can add to it. So I think it'll be really helpful once they start adding, the style guide. Not the style one. So the style is in the model, but for example, the composition guide.
Yeah.
So if I wanted something for a background where I know there's going to be an image here, and I wanted just some blank space with some, I don't know, 3D floating flowers for my web page,
Yeah.
it can be a lot more constructive. So this one I think
Yeah.
is a collection because that was what was in the prompt. It didn't really, like, I think you have to be really specific on what you want. I think I did an example. Yeah. So this one I got from using so this one was generated using Adobe Firefly. Using the same prompt, I used my model to see what the difference was. And then you can kind of see that it's picked up a lot of my color hues. It's got that flowy stuff that I have in my 3D models. So it's kind of combined a bit of both, which I think is really cool. And then from there, I tweaked it a bit more, just using prompt to give it a bit more direction. And then you can kind of see like the difference it's made. So I think from the first generation to how you want it, you can still describe and give it more direction to add your personal flavor into the image to get the result you want. So I think don't think that now that you've got a custom model, it's just going to spit out everything perfectly to what you want if you describe it right. I don't think that's the right approach. I think you still use it as a tool and just maybe bringing in some of the color scheme and your personal taste to the forefront and saving you a little bit of time in that sense.
Nice. Well, that's great. I think we can leave it there. I think that's a great place to leave it because we will be back tomorrow, same place, same time. Anything else, Joy, before we say goodbye?
I think if anyone has any questions that we can answer tomorrow during our stream, put them in the comment section and then we can answer them, and potentially I can share some of the behind the scenes of how you could address things or fix things or do things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw a question before that was just asking about the amount you need to create a whole thing. And I think it was 10 was the minimum amount and something like 30 was the maximum.
Between 10 to 30, but I think always go higher because what I ended up using was probably I might have had a catchment of 50 images, and then I select the best ones because it's going to ask for higher res, and I think certain dimensions didn't fit, so it will discount those. So you can potentially crop it to the part that you like, but making sure it's over 1000 1K so that it's got the detail it needs. And then I think if you have lots of similar, I think I put in like one of my 3D models in different color schemes thinking that would help, but it said they're duplicates of each other. It's actually not adding any value. So I
Right.
think
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. That's cool.
go with the suggestions on the side where it's going to prompt you to tell you how to improve your model, and then when you reanalyze it, it'll give you a higher or a lower score. And I think once you get to about 85 plus, then train the model so you're not wasting your credits.
Cool. Okay, very good. Well, with that tip, we'll leave it there for today. Thank you so much, Joy, for joining us again on Adobe Live.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
And thanks, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow with Joy, and also a live stream with Jeremy Lord immediately before, I think. Yeah, we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks again, Joy.